Good morning. I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama. I'm out here by the chickens, but we're not talking about the chickens. I'm going to do an all things green video talking all about milkweed. Butterfly milkweed, or I'm just going to call it milkweed for the sake of this video, is a set of plants that are really awesome and useful, and that's why they're going to get their own video here on my channel. Now, I'm in the United States. I'm in South Central Texas in the San Antonio area, and so I'm in the USDA Zone 8B, but there are milkweed variations that you can get for different climates. So first of all, why are they so important? Why do they get their own video? Milkweed is a perennial, which means it will live longer than just one season. It's also really great, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, because they're really easy to reseed or for you to collect their seeds and grow free plants next year. And by a perennial, like I said, I mean that it won't die out. Sometimes it'll freeze to the ground like in the winter, but you don't necessarily have to buy more every season, like, zinnias, marigolds, petunias, and other plants that produce food like tomato plants. Those guys will die in less than a year. These guys do not. Another thing that's cool about milkweed, this is not a milkweed, but I'm just going to show you an example right here since I'm standing here. It's a really good pollinator plant. And by that, I mean that it's really good for all of the guys that, honestly, that our planet needs to survive, right? To keep pollinating all kinds of things. And of course, that does mean bees. It means honeybees, but it also means there are certain types of pollinating wasps. There are, of course, butterflies. There are some pollinating moths. There are hummingbirds. There are lots of different animals that we need to help pollinate. They create all of our food, which we need, right? So a milkweed is another great plant that provides nectar, and it's a good pollinator plant. So it's good to have for all of those different creatures. The reason, though, that milkweed's going to get its own video here on my channel is because it is the only food that monarch caterpillars will eat. So when you guys have seen all of the conservation videos and all of the documentaries and all of the news updates about how we really need to help honeybees, for example, and monarch butterflies, we need to really help that population. What you can do at home, no matter where you are, is to have tons of milkweed. So I'm going to show you real quick while I'm standing here. I have a rogue milkweed right there. I didn't plant that guy. And this is another just fun thing about this plant. When I talk about them reseeding, that means that they have a seed system where they make their own seeds on their plant right towards the end of autumn, and they let their seeds blow in the wind. They're beautiful, fluffy seeds. Think almost like a dandelion, but they're like in a flat, compact little pod. And so all of these milkweeds that you see are free rogue ones. And this is what they look like right here. And this one is starting to create its flower buds. The kinds that I have tropical milkweed, which grows only yellow, and we're going to walk down there in a second. But there's also milkweed that blooms in red and orange and yellow. There's all different kinds. And so for me, I'm finding there's another milkweed that's right here by lavender. This is a milkweed that's blooming. That's what it looks like. And so they grow tall. They're called milkweed because kind of like a dandelion, and now we're going to walk to another one, because kind of like a dandelion, they have like a milky substance on the inside because they don't want animals to come chop down big old pieces and eat big parts of them. So you can get the different kinds of milkweed. For me, being in zone 8, the one that is local to me is the tropical one, which is this huge prominent one you see right here, who blooms only yellow. I don't think it's the prettiest one, but it's the one that's technically the most native to me. And native, when you talk about plants, it just means it's going to deal really well in your climate, and you're not going to have to baby it. So for milkweed, they can handle full sun, they can handle the heat, they like to be deep watered. But for me right now, we're hitting in the high 80s, low 90s. I'm only deep watering mine like twice, maybe 3 times a week, especially once they're established. And milkweed is just, I don't know, it's just a really cool plant. It's pretty. It's not a baby. It's not really super sensitive, but this is the only plant that a monarch butterfly female will look for when she's flying around and she's full of eggs. And what she does is she looks for this leaf shape, and she looks for milkweed that looks like this. And this is the only place where she will lay her egg. And I'm looking to see if I have any eggs. They look like one little blot of tapioca, like a little white jelly looking blob, and she only lays 1 egg at a time, and she will only lay them on a milkweed plant. And this is because, why does she only lay 1 egg at a time? Because she's got at least 50 eggs inside of her. I don't know the number actually, because she knows that when her little caterpillar hatches, and it's so teeny tiny, it just looks like a little right? Like just this tiny little thing. It's going to eat like crazy. Caterpillars, all they do is they eat and they poop and then they pass out because they're so tired from eating and pooping. And then they wake up and guess what? They're hungry. So she lays them spread out so that they basically don't use up all of their resources. They don't eat all of the milkweed and then they starve. So she does one at a time. These are milkweed babies that are from my seeds from my plants from last year, which is so cool. But you can certainly buy milkweed seeds. Again, the ones that I have are tropical, but there's a whole bunch of different colors. There's a pink one that I actually want to get this year just because I want to. And then you can also go to nurseries and buy the smaller plants. Of course, the benefit with that is that it's convenient. You don't have to wait to grow anything. I have a butterfly habitat in here. When we find the monarch caterpillars on our property, we put them in here because monarch caterpillars can get eaten by things like certain types of wasps will eat them. So what we'll do is we're constantly cycling the plants in and out of there. As you can see, this one here in the front is getting eaten pretty well. So then there's a caterpillar right there. So then we'll be switching out that pot as it gets eaten and putting in a fresh pot and checking around on our property to try to protect the monarchs the best we can. So milkweed is a really heat hardy perennial. The blooms are really cool. They're just a really chill plant. They're pretty low maintenance, especially once you get them established. If you don't collect the seeds early and you let the seeds just blow around on your property, you will find milkweed in different parts around your property, which I think is beautiful. And then I also do collect the seeds. And then in early spring, I start them in flower pots in my greenhouse so that I can have more and more every year. But that's why milkweed gets its own video on my channel. If you want to keep watching, I'm going to do one more really quick clip where I'm going to walk out to my actual certified butterfly garden out here that I let grow wild, and you can see. All right, we're back. So for this final clip, I did a video recently on this butterfly garden, and I'm putting a list in June or July 2023 on Real Simple Mama, just a quick and dirty list of, if you're in the South Central Texas area, these are all of the plants that are in my butterfly garden. And like I said, what's cool is that butterfly milkweed, if you're like me and you're not like, I don't know, these plants have to grow just in this one little spot, and I'm going to be really controlling on what grows where and keep everything organized. Obviously, I don't care. So I'm trying to find, I have all different kinds of stuff that's growing wild in here that I'm like, hey, I didn't even plant you. That's cool. Like this is sorghum right here, which is from birdseed. This is another type of birdseed growing up top right here. But I do have butterfly milkweed. I'm looking for them. I do have a couple. Let me show you the ones in the front. I do have a couple that are growing here, and they're growing wild. And like I said, here's a tall one here in the middle of your shot. This guy right there with the red and orange and yellow blooms, and then it has a ton of pink buds at the top. So that one looks like it's doing okay right now. I will check it for eggs and for caterpillars so that we can try to save and protect it. I do see wasps flying around here. So we just let this area grow wild. It's the beginning of June right now, and everything is already this tall. This Esperanza here is like 5 feet tall. It's as tall as I am. So we love this area, that it's going to provide a ton of food for everybody. But I've got milkweed out in here too. So I hope that this was really helpful. I hope you learned a thing or two, and that hopefully you're running to your nursery right now, or you're going to buy some seeds online and you're going to get milkweed going, because we need it for our monarchs so badly. And as always, I'm here for questions and for helping you out. Thanks.